Welcome back to Capitol Square. At the end of week one of the new healthcare marketplace, it did not go as smoothly as the Obama administration had hoped.
Yeah, we met earlier this week Colette Haley. She has her own small business in the German village. You see her here. She's waited 8 years now to be covered by health insurance, and we were there when Colette tried to log on to the website. She was pretty excited about it.
At least it offers some hope that there may be some affordable health care out there, and I don't have that constant stressor in the back of my mind of, I have to stay healthy. What happens if I'm not?
All right, here's what happened. The system was too busy that first day and throughout the week, so Colette was very disappointed. She could not file online, but she reminds everybody she has until December 15th, as does everybody, to get that done.
And of course, everybody across the country talking about the health care and also these ongoing debates about the merits of the government shutdown. There is little debate, though, that the shutdown is costing taxpayers a lot of money.
Yeah, indeed. Joining us this morning to discuss the facts around the government shutdown, our good friend Paul Beck from The Ohio State University. Good morning, Paul.
Good to be here.
All right, so let's pick it up there. I mean, kind of a, let's just say it, and I think it's pretty universally agreed on both sides, kind of a terrible rollout of this exchange. A lot of problems, a lot of bugs. The Obama administration not helping itself with this running parallel to the shutdown and the Obamacare debate.
Well, obviously a disappointing rollout. You hope for better than that if you're the administration. It could be attributed to more people than anybody expected getting on, just trying to see what's there and get a sense of that. I don't think we know for sure. The interesting thing about it to me is that that particular news story has a bit been crowded out by the shutdown news story. And you would think if I were a Republican strategist, I would rather have that take center stage than this continuing battle over the shutdown. But it is what it is, obviously.
If you were talking about, you would rather have the Affordable Care Act take center stage.
Yes.
Well, at what point, though, is the debate over this law, this health care law, over? I mean, it's gone through the election, the Supreme Court. I mean, it's the law of the land, as we've heard. At what point do we just let it go and move on?
Well, I think that point may come fairly soon. It is the law of the land. People are investigating it, trying to see for this January 1 startup whether it's in their interest to sign on to it. I think some of this will calm down and we'll just see how it rolls out and we'll get reactions to it. And the discussion will continue over how well it's playing, how much people are signing up, whether there are further glitches down the road, what little problems arise. Anytime you do social legislation of that level, there are going to be things that nobody anticipated on either side. And we'll just have to kind of wait and see how that works out.
Let me ask you, Paul, and this might be too simplistic, but there in Washington, D.C., we have a Democratic president, we have a Democratic Senate, and we have a Republican House.
Yes.
How is this 1/3 of this debate dominating the discussion? And why do they think that they are going to do something that the 2/3 don't want?
Well, I think it's intensity, a willingness to go to the brink. Some Republicans we hear would be quite willing, for example, to not pass an increase in the debt ceiling. I think most Republicans don't want that, and we hear John Boehner saying he certainly doesn't want that.
And he can end this, right? I mean, he has a clean continuing resolution. It's done. The government reopens.
He could end it, but he can only end it by defying his caucus. And the Republicans have had the Hastert rule for well over a decade, which says that nothing gets to the floor. The Speaker won't let anything get to the floor unless a majority of the caucus is supportive of it. A majority of the caucus may be supportive of it. We don't know that for sure. But there clearly are a large number of Republicans, conservative Republicans, many of them elected in 2010, many with Tea Party affiliations or at least strong Tea Party support, who are bound and determined that they're not going to let this come to the floor. And right now the Speaker has basically been sensitive to that. No Speaker wants to divide his party and see these things spilling out on the floor of the House. Now, he's done it 3 times already this year. They did it over the tax increase or the end of the Bush era increases in early January. They did it over the Hurricane Sandy, and there was another instance where they did it. It was not something that was very popular with people, even people who were supportive of those particular initiatives. Don't like to see the intra-party battle spilling out into the open on the floor of the House of Representatives and putting people in a position where they have to vote.
And along that lines, for folks who are in the Republican Party and they are coming home to their respective districts, what are they going to say to their constituents, those folks who may not be part of that Tea Party segment of the Republican Party?
Well, many of them are coming home to constituencies that are very Republican. They come home to safe seats. There's strong Tea Party activity in some of those districts. So they're really speaking to their constituents. And then there are others. Watch the members of Congress, Republicans from the state of Virginia. Virginia is taking a heavy hit with the government shutdown. Not only in terms of employment and loss of revenues coming into the state, but also in terms of contracts. The metropolitan area of D.C. is full of defense contractors and others who make their living off a federal government that is basically giving them contracts, and that is slowing down as well. There are, as I understand it, 4 Republicans from the Virginia delegation who are ready today to vote for a clean, continued
because that goes
resolution.
back to this
Yes,
1/3
absolutely.
issue, and we really don't know within the Republican House here how many would be willing to vote on that continuing resolution and just get this over with and move on. We're down to less than a minute, Paul, but I do want to ask you, is there precedence? The Republicans say, look, we're passing these funding bills one at a time, so there are different things we want to fund. There's precedent to this. Is there precedence? I don't remember it in my lifetime being done
I don't
this way.
really think there is. I mean, the normal process is that the House, which takes the first step in budgeting, passes a series of appropriations bills. Those move on to the Senate. The Senate does its thing. If the bills are not the same, there is a conference committee that will negotiate out the differences. They may have to go back for a vote in each chamber. That hasn't happened.
You might need
None
to
of
go
the
to D.C. and give
appropriations
that
bills
lesson.
have been approved.
I think the professor's ready to go teach.
I think you should.
Paul Beck, thanks for coming in this early Sunday morning.
Good to
Been
be with
wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
When we come back, we will be welcoming our strategist and making her debut on Capitol Square. From the left, Liz Brown, and from the right, Bob Clegg. They debate coming up next.